I just made history, I just beat Christopher Bell at the most legendary racetrack in America, and 3 days later, I was told I wasn't racing this weekend. That is the reality Corey Heim is living right now, and it is a reality that has left the entire NASCAR world stunned. So what actually happened? Who is replacing him at Iowa Speedway? And why did this happen right after the biggest win of his career? Let's break it down from the very beginning. The Brickyard 400 ran 160 laps on the historic bricks, with Heim piloting the number 67 Toyota. On the final restart on lap 127, he lined up outside the front row beside his own team co-owner, Denny Hamlin, with Joey Logano and Christopher Bell stacked directly behind them. His crew chief, Booty Barker, instructed him over the radio to get a good push and pinch Hamlin down entering the corner. Teammate against teammate, pure racecraft with no mercy involved. The closing laps were a physical fight. Heim himself admitted the car was a handful through the exits, and that keeping his rivals buried in dirty air took everything he had. He called it the hardest I've ever fought. And when the checkered flag fell, the stat that came with it was staggering. Not since 1965, when AJ Foyt did it, had a driver won twice within his first 15 Cup starts, and Heim achieved it as a part-timer with only 8 starts total. He was also compared directly to Jeff Gordon's 1994 Brickyard win for the sheer weight of the achievement. This was Heim's second Cup Series win of the season, following his earlier victory on the Naval Base Coronado Street Course, making him one of the most efficient winners in the entire field despite running a limited schedule. It was the peak of his career. And then everything changed. Despite the win, there is no open car for Heim on the Iowa Speedway entry list. 23XI Racing simply is not fielding the number 67 this weekend. This marks the second time this season a race winner has not returned the following week, the first being after Sonoma. It also echoes what happened with Hamlin himself in 2025, when he missed Mexico City after a Michigan win for the birth of his child. The rarity goes even deeper than that. Before Heim's win, no winning car had missed the following race since July 2023, when Shane Van Gisbergen shocked the world with his Cup debut win in Chicago, and even that car did not return the next week at Atlanta. This simply does not happen in this sport. In both the Van Gisbergen case and Heim's case, the absence had nothing to do with performance. It came down to team scheduling decisions made well before either driver crossed the finish line first. Here is the twist that makes it sting even more. If Heim were points eligible, he would currently sit inside the top 10 of the standings, with the 7th highest effective points per race in the entire series. He is not benched because of performance. He is benched because of his team's schedule limits. What comes next for him is confirmed. The Daytona regular season finale, followed by the playoff races at Darlington, Charlotte, and Homestead, Miami. But that is cold comfort, because the real question was never, when does he race again? It was, why did this happen right after his biggest win? And that question leads straight into a controversy that has nothing to do with race results at all. It's about a number. 23XI Racing holds 4 numbers tied heavily to Michael Jordan's basketball legacy. 23 and 45 from his Bulls jerseys, and 35 from his Arizona Fall League baseball number. The number 67 is the outlier, with no Jordan connection at all. When Heim signed on part-time, he was given a choice between 67 and 35, and he chose 67, even though it meant briefly overlapping with the number planned for his full-time 2027 seat. Before we go further, NASCAR Trackline TV is closing in on 1,500 subscribers, and if you're finding value in breakdowns like this one, hitting subscribe helps us keep bringing you the full story behind every headline. Like the video, drop a comment, and share it with a fellow NASCAR fan while we get back into this story. Denny Hamlin claimed on his own podcast that Heim called the 67 a stupid, goofy number, and confirmed a plan to switch to 35 for 2027. Heim disputed that characterization directly, saying, "He put words in my mouth there a little bit," clarifying that he only ever said the 35 looks better, not that the 67 is bad. On a separate podcast appearance with Corey LaJoie, LaJoie argued that Heim has already built equity and die-casts around the 67 and should keep it rather than switch away from it. Heim responded that the recent wins have him way more up in the air than he was a month ago, and he publicly stated he doesn't consider it official the way Hamlin framed it on air. The tension between driver and team ownership heading into 2027 remains unresolved, and it is only getting more complicated by the week. The uncertainty doesn't stop with the number. Riley Herbst is leaving the number 35 at the end of the season, and Heim is set to take it over for his full-time rookie campaign. But the chemistry that has produced 2 wins with the number 67 belongs specifically to crew chief Booty Barker, not necessarily to the car number itself. Kenny Wallace raised a blunt point on this exact issue. Barker might not want to commit to a full 36-race grind across an entire season, which means Hamlin and Michael Jordan now face a real decision on whether to keep the pairing together going forward. If Barker stays in a management-style role instead of returning to the pit box full-time, Heim could begin his historic rookie season with an entirely different crew chief standing behind him, undercutting the very partnership that made him a star in the first place. Nothing on this front has been decided yet, and that uncertainty is fueling the conversation across the garage. Barker has spent this season splitting his attention between the number 67 program and preparing the ground for Heim's 2027 rookie run, and how that balance shifts once the season ends remains an open question. Meanwhile, the reaction across the NASCAR world has been enormous. NASCAR's own official account has called Heim the sport's unmistakable next big thing. Fans have been mentally slotting him well inside the top 10 of the standings had he been points eligible all season, noting that his win total already outweighs drivers who have started 3 times as many races as he has. Adding even more heat to the moment is the growing rivalry with Carson Hocevar. During the race, Hocevar appeared to gesture at Heim mid-race. Heim brushed it off afterward, calling it a big fat L. Hocevar later said he was just a fan, waving because Heim won. The fanbase remains split on whether this is genuine dislike or a manufactured storyline building heat for future races, but many are already comparing it to past rivalries credited with growing the sport's popularity over the years. Right now, Heim is the most talked about name in the entire garage. And this week, he isn't even racing, a fact that only fuels more discussion instead of settling any of it. Step back, and the scale of what Heim has accomplished in a matter of weeks is remarkable. A street course win at Naval Base Coronado, a Truck Series championship pedigree, and now a Crown Jewel Cup win before he is even a full-time Cup Series driver. Hamlin himself has called Heim a rare, generational talent. Yet his own team could not find him a car for this weekend's race at Iowa. The most talked-about driver in the sport is sidelined not by a crash, not by a penalty, not by a performance issue, but by a scheduling and ownership decision that fans are still trying to make sense of days later. Between the number controversy, the crew chief uncertainty, and the open questions about how 23XI plans to build his 2027 rookie season around him, more decisions are coming. Decisions that could shape whether Corey Heim becomes NASCAR's next dynasty driver or gets caught in the middle of team politics before his career has even truly begun. Let us know what you think about all of this down in the comments, and share this video with a fellow NASCAR fan who needs to see this story unfold. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.